Hello everyone. Aging is a complex journey. It comes with wisdom, rich experiences, and the reflection of a life well lived. But it also brings new challenges that can sometimes lead to increased pressure, whether from society, family, or even well-meaning friends. Among these challenges, one of the most valuable and liberating lessons an older person can learn is the ability to remain emotionally distant from certain questions. The ability to say no to revealing personal details is a form of self-care. As you grow older, the art of saying no or learning to respond with silence or a vague answer becomes an important skill. This process is not about being rude or dismissive, but about maintaining your boundaries and your peace of mind. The idea of being cold as we age doesn't mean growing indifferent or hostile. It means understanding that there are questions that do not deserve your time or energy. Learning to be selective about what you respond to is one of the most empowering skills you can cultivate in later years. In this article, we will explore the types of questions that, as you age, should simply remain unanswered. With that, you will understand how you can protect your emotional well-being by being cold in your responses. Let's dive deeper into this concept and take a closer look at specific areas where you should learn to draw clear boundaries. 1. Questions about your personal finances. For many older adults, finances are one of the most sensitive topics. As you age, people, whether family, friends, or acquaintances, may begin asking questions about how much money you have, whether you have saved for retirement, or even whether you're living comfortably. While these questions might be driven by genuine concern, they often cross a line into intrusive territory. People may wonder whether you're financially secure enough to manage in the later years of life, or they may speculate on what you will leave behind after your passing. These questions, while asked with good intentions, can feel invasive and sometimes even judgmental. Finances are deeply personal, and there's no obligation to disclose any information about your bank accounts, retirement savings, or future financial plans. Your financial journey is uniquely yours, and no one else has a right to assess it, especially without your permission. Why it's important not to answer. Talking about finances can be draining, and it can create unnecessary stress. You may feel that you need to justify your choices or explain why you haven't saved more, or why you didn't make different financial decisions. These topics should be private, and answering them can lead to discomfort, especially if you're being judged or if you feel obligated to reveal more than you want. What to do? Instead, politely decline to discuss your financial situation. A simple statement such as, "I prefer not to talk about finances," or "I handle things in my own way and I'm comfortable with that," can effectively close the conversation without causing offense. Setting this boundary is crucial for protecting your peace of mind. 2. Questions about your health. As you grow older, it's natural for others to inquire about your health, how you're feeling, if you've had any recent checkups, or if you're taking medications. However, these questions often become repetitive and can feel invasive. It's entirely understandable that you may not want to discuss the intricacies of your health, whether it's because you're managing a chronic condition or simply prefer to keep certain matters private. Your health, or lack thereof, is a personal aspect of your life. You don't owe anyone an explanation about your medical history or the state of your well-being unless you choose to share it. Often these questions stem from genuine concern, but they can also feel like unwarranted probing. Moreover, people may sometimes ask these questions without truly understanding the complexities of your situation, which could lead to well-meaning but inaccurate judgments or advice. Why? It's important not to answer. Answering health-related questions can be exhausting, especially if you're dealing with long-term health issues. Repeatedly recounting your health challenges can become emotionally taxing, and, in some cases, it may also make you feel vulnerable or misunderstood. What to do? Instead, if you don't feel comfortable answering, a simple response such as, "I'm doing fine, thank you," or "That's a private matter, I prefer not to discuss," can effectively redirect the conversation without hurting anyone's feelings. Remember, you have every right to protect your privacy in this area. 3. Questions about your age. Age is often seen as a sensitive subject in society, especially when people begin to view older adults through the lens of aging. Many people may ask questions like, "How old are you?" or "Are you feeling the effects of aging?" These questions can be uncomfortable and can make you feel as though your worth is defined by your age rather than the richness of your experiences. There is no obligation to share your age with others. In fact, you may choose to avoid revealing your age altogether, especially in a society that places undue emphasis on youthfulness. Whether or not you choose to embrace your age, the decision should be yours and not based on someone else's curiosity or judgment. Why it's important not to answer. Constantly being asked about your age can feel like a reduction of your identity to just a number. Age should be celebrated, but it's your choice whether to share it or not. Sometimes these questions imply that you're expected to act or feel a certain way because of your age, which can lead to stress and frustration. What to do? Instead, politely but firmly decline to answer. A response such as, "I prefer to keep my age private," or simply, "I don't feel the need to discuss my age," can shut down the conversation with grace. There's no reason to explain your age or justify how you live because of it. 4. Questions about your living arrangements. As you age, others may become more concerned about your living arrangements. Whether you're still living independently in your home or have made the decision to move into a retirement community, people may ask intrusive questions about where you live and how you manage your home. Questions like, "Are you still living on your own?" or "Why haven't you moved into a care facility yet?" can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're content with your current living situation. These questions, while often coming from a place of concern, can be tiring and might create a sense of being judged or criticized for your choices. It's important to remember that your living situation is your own decision and that others don't have the right to weigh in unless you invite them to do so. Why it's important not to answer. Your living situation reflects your independence, comfort, and personal preferences. If you're satisfied with your living arrangements, these questions can feel unnecessary and may even make you question your own decisions. What to do instead? A polite but firm response, such as, "I'm happy where I am, thank you," or "I prefer not to discuss my living situation," can put an end to these intrusive questions. If you are comfortable with where you live, there's no reason to justify it to anyone else. 5. Questions about your family relationships. As you get older, people may begin asking about your family dynamics. They may inquire about your children, grandchildren, or extended family members, especially if they assume that family is the cornerstone of your happiness. Questions like, "Do you see your children often?" or "When are your grandkids coming over?" might seem innocent enough, but they can be incredibly invasive and might bring up feelings of guilt or discomfort if your family situation isn't ideal. Family dynamics can be complicated, and not all family members remain as close as society expects. You may have strained relationships or simply prefer not to disclose how often you interact with family. These questions often carry assumptions that may not align with your reality. Why it's important not to answer. Family relationships are incredibly personal. Answering questions about family can sometimes force you into uncomfortable territory or make you feel that you have to justify the nature of your relationships. Moreover, if your family situation isn't what others expect, you might feel judged or misunderstood. What to do instead? A simple, "I prefer not to discuss my family," or "that's a personal matter," can shut down these kinds of questions without inviting further discussion. You are under no obligation to explain the nature of your family relationships to anyone. 6. Questions about your past choices. As you get older, people often feel compelled to ask about your past, whether it's about career choices, romantic relationships, or other major life decisions. Questions such as, "Why didn't you get married?" or "Why didn't you pursue that job opportunity?" can sometimes feel like judgment or an attempt to critique your past. These questions may stir up feelings of regret, guilt, or discomfort, especially if the decisions you made were based on personal preferences that you don't wish to explain. The truth is, your past choices shaped who you are today, and they're none of anyone else's business. Everyone's life path is different, and there's no need to explain yourself to others. Why? It's important not to answer. Answering questions about your past can make you feel vulnerable or as though you need to justify yourself. The decisions you made in the past were right for you at the time, and there's no need to explain them to anyone. What to do? Instead, a response such as, "I'm happy with the choices I made," or "I'd rather not revisit that part of my life," is sufficient. You don't owe anyone an explanation about the choices you made or why you made them. 7. Questions about your social life. As you get older, people may begin to wonder if you're still active socially or if you've made new friends. They might ask, "Do you still go out?" or "Do you have any new friends?" While these questions may seem like harmless curiosity, they can often feel like a critique of your social life. Perhaps you've chosen a quieter, more solitary lifestyle, or maybe you prefer to be around a smaller, more intimate circle of people. There's no right way to live socially as you age, and it's important to honor your own preferences. Why it's important not to answer. Your social life is your own business, and there's no need to justify your choices. Whether you enjoy solitude or a rich social life, you should not feel pressured to meet other people's expectations about what your social life should look like. What to do? Instead, a simple answer like, "I enjoy my own company," or "I prefer to keep things private," is an excellent way to deflect questions about your social life without being rude. It's your choice how you spend your time, and you don't need to explain it. 8. Questions about your future plans. As you approach later years, questions about your plans for the future often come up, whether it's regarding your will, your healthcare plans, or your end-of-life wishes. While it's essential to plan for the future, these questions are intensely personal. No one should ask about your estate plans or personal arrangements unless you're ready to share that information. Why it's important not to answer. These questions are not only personal, but often premature. You might not feel comfortable discussing such matters, and it's your prerogative to share when the time feels right. What to do? Instead, a response like, "I have everything in order, thank you," or "I prefer to keep those details private," will politely close the topic and prevent further probing. In the later stages of life, it's crucial to protect your emotional health by establishing firm boundaries with those who may ask intrusive or uncomfortable questions. Learning to be cold, not in the sense of being unkind, but rather in terms of protecting your peace, is an important skill. You have every right to preserve your privacy, your dignity, and your well-being, no matter what others may expect from you. By refusing to answer questions that make you feel uncomfortable or judged, you reclaim control over your own narrative and ensure that your golden years are filled with peace, comfort, and freedom. So the next time someone asks a question that crosses a boundary, remember, you don't have to answer. You've earned the right to keep certain aspects of your life to yourself.